Some maps lead to treasure. Others lead to a place where the world you know begins to unravel. For Elias Vance, a geologist whose hands were more used to corporate reports than rock hammers, the map he held was a ghost. It was the last thing his estranged father, a lifelong prospector, had left behind, a crinkled, cryptic guide into the deepest heart of the Olympic National Forest. The prize? A legendary vein of gold known only as the Miser's Pocket, a story Eli had dismissed as another of his father's delusional fantasies. But now, with his father gone and a gnawing emptiness in his own life, the fantasy felt like the only real thing left. The air in the Olympic National Forest is different. It's heavy, thick with moisture, and the smell of ancient decay. Eli pushed deeper, following the faint lines on the weathered paper. The deeper he went, the more the forest seemed to wrap around him. The fog wasn't just weather. It was a presence, a heavy, white blanket that swallowed sound and sight. It clung to the towering, moss-draped trees, which twisted into unnatural shapes, their branches like gnarled fingers, pointing in every direction at once. The silence was profound, broken only by the drip of water from unseen leaves and the haunting loop of his father's voice. Eli had brought a small, battery-powered recorder, playing the only tape he had of his father's later years, rambling, obsessive notes about the gold. The voice, tinny and distant, whispered in his ear, a constant, ghostly companion. "It's close, son. So close, richer than you can imagine." Days bled into one another. The compass spun erratically. The sun was a forgotten memory, and the map seemed to change in his hands. Landmarks vanished. Trails that were there moments before would dissolve into impenetrable thickets of thorns. Eli was a geologist, a man of science and logic, but the rules of nature were bending around him. He'd hear the rustle of leaves just behind him, a sound too heavy for a squirrel, too deliberate for the wind. When he'd spin around, there was nothing but the oppressive stillness of the fog. His supplies dwindled. The psychological toll was worse. His father's recorded voice, once a comfort, now felt like a taunt. It blended with other whispers that seemed to rise from the very soil. Promises of wealth, of recognition, of an end to all his failures. The forest was testing him, tempting him, and Eli felt a chilling realization dawn. The Miser's Pocket wasn't just a gold vein. It was bait. This quest was no longer about honoring his father or finding riches. It was about an ancient greed that had taken root in this forest, a spirit that had consumed his father and was now coming for him. The whispers grew more insidious, twisting his own thoughts. He saw flickers of movement in the corner of his eye-dark, fleeting shapes that vanished when he tried to focus. The forest wasn't just a location. It was a living, breathing labyrinth designed to trap him. The map was a lie, a tool of the entity that guarded this place. The real path wasn't on the paper. It was a single, narrow trail he had to find before the forest, and the spirit within it claimed him for good. The gold wasn't the prize. Survival was, and time was running out. He stumbled through the dense undergrowth, his face etched with exhaustion and fear. Every snap of a twig sent a jolt of adrenaline through him. The whispers were constant now, a chorus of his own deepest insecurities mixed with his father's desperate promises. He was running, not towards the gold, but from it. He finally tore the map in half, the paper dissolving into mush in the damp air. He had to rely on instinct, on some primal sense of direction he hoped he still possessed. He scrambled up a slippery rock face, his fingers raw, and for a moment the fog thinned. Below him, he saw it. Not a trail, but a break in the trees, a dark, gaping maw in the side of a hill, the entrance to a mine. A pale, sickly golden light pulsed from within, calling to him. This was it, the Miser's Pocket, the heart of the nightmare. Drawn by a force he couldn't resist, Eli approached the mine. The air grew colder, and the whispers converged into a single voice, his father's, but impossibly clear, as if he were standing right beside him. "You found it, Eli. It's all for you. We can be rich together." Inside the mine entrance, the golden light solidified. Dust and earth swirled, coalescing into a spectral figure, its form vaguely human, but made of shimmering gold and dark soil. It wore his father's face. It was the entity, the spirit of greed, offering him everything he thought he wanted. But looking into its hollow, shining eyes, Eli saw only an eternal prison. He saw his father's obsession, his own disillusionment, all of it a trap laid by this thing. He reached into his pack, his hand closing not on a pickaxe, but on the last of the dynamite he'd brought for mining. The entity smiled his father's smile. "That's it, son. Blast it open. Take what's yours." But Eli wasn't looking at the glittering walls of gold. He was looking at the crumbling support beams of the mine entrance. With trembling hands, he lit the fuse. He wasn't there to take the gold. He was there to bury it. He threw the bundle of dynamite, not into the mine, but at its entrance. He turned and ran, scrambling away as the spectral figure's smile twisted into a silent scream of rage. The explosion was deafening. Rock and earth rained down, the force of the blast a physical blow. The mine entrance collapsed, sealing the golden light and the entity within the mountain. The shock wave tore through the fog, ripping it apart for a few precious seconds. And in that moment of clarity, Eli saw it a thin, almost invisible trail leading up and away from the Valley of Whispers. He didn't hesitate. He ran, stumbling, falling, but always getting back up. The whispers were gone. The oppressive weight was lifted. For the first time in what felt like a lifetime, the only voice in his head was his own. Eli Vance stumbled out of the Olympic National Forest as the sun finally broke through the clouds, his pockets empty, but his spirit finally free. The forest fell silent behind him, its secret buried once more. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy stories that delve into the darkness of the wild and the human heart, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We'll see you in the next one.